Hey everybody, it's your boy Nerdicane here again, doing a review of Batman White Knight #1. Before I get into it, I want to talk about comics, and I want to talk about great comics. Um, there are recipes for great comics. There's not one recipe, but there is recipes for it. And I believe respect for the characters is first and foremost. You have to have respect for the lore. You have to have respect for the characterization of the characters that's come before you. These sudden heel turns, a la Nazi Cap, uh, they don't work because suddenly you're trying to push a new character on everybody who just happens to be wearing the skin of the character, of the beloved character. Uh, so Nick Spencer, screw you for doing that. It's horrible. Nobody bought your stupid event comic. Uh, just, just stop. It's time to stop. Okay, I'll get off that. Um, Juxtaposition, making the good guy the bad guy and the bad guy the good guy, is one of the things that is done well. But in doing that, you have to justify it. You can't just say, oh, because of this thing, i.e., the cosmic cube, that good guy is now a bad guy. Uh, you have to, in your story, explain why the bad guy is the good guy, why the good guy is the bad guy. And if you do it well enough, you may start to think, okay, maybe the good guy was always the bad guy. Uh, and that's good. Another thing in comic book stories, that great comic book stories, both sides don't have to be wrong necessarily. Uh, Watchmen is probably the greatest. Uh, Watchmen is probably the greatest example of that I can think of, where the audience at the end is asked a moral question of, could you live in an idealistic world if you knew that it was a lie, that it was based on a lie? Um, the side of the truth isn't wrong, but they would destroy all that was built. The side of the lie isn't wrong, but that would go back to the way things were, or possibly worse. So those are three really good things in great comics. Now, a great Batman comic and a great Batman movie is just like in Dark Knight, where he's pushed to his moral limits, not just his physical limits. His physical limits are just the tangible. It's the intangible. It's the things that make him Batman, that makes him the symbol that he is that morality being pushed to the line and broken. That makes a great Batman story. This one does that in so much. Let me say this right now before we get to the 4-minute mark. If you're watching this at the 4-minute mark, you either need to be grabbing your keys and your wallet and heading to a comic book shop, or you need to be watching this at a comic book shop and picking this up. This book is going to be one that you are going to want a first printing of. I'm all in. I think it's great. This is a buy. Go get it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to show all of this. I'm going to give you the really, really interesting points, and I'm going to stay a little far back because I don't want you to read it through here. I want you to go out and buy a good comic. You know, part of the mission statement of my channel is I want people to buy good comics. So, first off, credit where credit's due. This is one of the elements. This is one of those like smaller elements of a great comic. Comic book artists live in the world. They create it, they draw it with their hands, they craft it. Same with the characters. The artists have sort of an understanding of the characters that you don't normally see in somebody who's detached as a writer. So when you see a comic written by the artist, there is a level of love and there is a level of craft into it if the artist loves the subject matter. And that's what we're seeing here: script, art, covers. That's the other thing I like. The cover is done by the same artist inside. There's no jostling of artists. It just seems from cover to cover, it just has an artistic flow to it. Matt Hollingsworth, colors and color cover. Right here, this flame effect coming off of the Batmobile, that's not easy to do, man. Good job. My hat's off to you. The book looks great. Like I said before, go buy this. If this is the first time you're hearing me say that, pause this video, go out, buy it. This Batmobile, I think this is a new Batmobile design. It's kind of got the rear end of a TVR, maybe an old school Corvette, but once again, you know, we get same old. We've seen this hundreds of times. Batman going to Arkham to see one of the villains. But your first juxtaposition, you find out that it's not Batman driving it. It's Jack Napier driving it. Once again, really cool design. I'm kind of a car nut. This design would not be very agile. It would be very stable at high speeds in a straight line. But yeah, it's just not a very agile design. But it's a Batmobile. I'm sure there's something that would make it. So we cut. Batman's in in Arkham. Jack Napier, the Joker, is looking rather suave, and he is out. So you're a little disjointed there. It goes 1 year ago, and it's a typical, you know, sort of typical Joker being chased by Batman. He's on a hoverboard. This is kind of a disclaimer to everybody out there. No one should ever ride a hoverboard ever. You look ridiculous. It's stupid. It's not a Back to the Future hoverboard. Stop riding them. You look ridiculous. But the Joker's hoverboard can jump a drawbridge. Unless your hoverboard can do that, don't ever step foot on a hoverboard. Chase. I'm skipping a bunch of this because I want you to read it. The culmination is a fight between Batman and the Joker, and they're basically, the conversation they're having is like, you're insignificant. No, you're insignificant. And we cut to the end where Batman basically gets the upper hand because physically he is the stronger one. And once again, we go to, this is the beginning of the heaviest juxtaposition. This shows the power of perception. Batman basically beats the hell out of him and forces him to take a bunch of these antipsychotic pills. This is Batman crossing his line. He doesn't want his rogues gallery all doped up on pills to make them quote-unquote normal. He wants them cured, and he wants them to face justice. And this is him taking this into his own hands, and it's being recorded. And perception, in a lot of cases, can turn monsters into martyrs and heroes into the villain. And that's what we're seeing here. Like I said before, Batman is at his best when he is pushed to his limits. But in this situation, he crosses the line. He goes over that. And he basically forces this stuff on him. So we cut to this, and you know, SJW is getting called out in this book. I thought that was kind of interesting. And a lot of this book shows a really great thing. Is another great thing that I said in comics. Both sides of the argument are not wrong. And both sides of the argument are not exactly right. You'll read that in this, and in a way, yes, that's very true with life. Where we lose it between those, and where we fail to come together is when we stop communicating, and we just start calling each other names on either side. But rarely in an issue are both sides completely correct and both sides completely wrong. This is a great example of how you can be topical in a comic book, but yet not heavy-handed with it. It's the subtlety that makes it special. This was a really great scene. For the artist, this is like everything. Let me get out of the glare real quick. This is like everything he loves about the Batman. Here is sort of a scene taken from Detective Comics number 27. That was the first appearance of Batman. Here is the Joker from the Tim Burton movie, shooting down the Batplane with his just like comically large gun. Once again, this is also taken from the Tim Burton Batman. The old school Batplane. There is... Where is he? Heath Ledger is on the wall. The Bruce Timm... Where is it? Bruce Timm Batman. This is also the card that was used in one of the Batman movies. But down here is a row of Batmobiles, almost chronicling most of the popular ones, most of the really iconic ones throughout the years. There's the Christopher Nolan, there's the Justice League one. I haven't seen a whole lot. This was actually, that lunchbox there was actually a lunchbox design, because I had that lunchbox when I was a kid. Mine was metal. And the reason why we have these plastic lunchboxes is because of my generation. We would take the metal ones and we would kind of get into these gladiator fights with them where we were bashing each other with them. So that's the reason why they switched to plastic. It's not cheaper. I don't think it was necessarily cheaper. It was just there were reports of kids bashing each other, and I'm guilty. That was my generation. Sorry. Respect for the character. In the beginning, you see Joker making jokes, which is what one of the things that you need the Joker to do, make bad jokes. The other thing, respect for the character, is the obsession that you'll see in Batman. Just the obsession with his quarry. Basically ignoring everything else, running people over just to get to his target. So we go, and it kind of ends with the Joker juxtaposition again. The Joker's suddenly not crazy, and he's super intelligent, and he's creating a case against the Gotham PD, because he can't sue Batman because nobody knows who he is. This page right here, I'm not going to show it. This right here, when you read this, like I said before, you'll read it and you'll be like, okay, maybe Batman is the bad guy in this. He makes a good point, and in the end, he just says, it's a very sane sounding Jack Napier, and he's going to clean up Gotham. So we have so many elements of a really great comic book in this. I'm really excited. I really wasn't excited about it a few weeks ago. I started following the artist and the writer and the colorer, almost everybody involved with this book on Twitter. And these people are comic book professionals. Their Twitter is almost all promotion of this comic because they're excited about it, they're passionate about it, they feel great about it, they want people to read this. And now that I've had my hands on it, now that I've gone through just the first issue, it feels like the beginning of something really great, a great story being told in the modern times, which we don't have a whole lot of great stories being told right now. I will tell you for the third time, go out. If you haven't picked this up, go out, pick it up. You want a first printing of this. Thank you. Thank you for watching. If you've made it to this point of the video, stop the video, go out, buy this comic. This is a great comic. Go buy it. But thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm pretty jazzed about this book. I will talk about this book all you want in the comments. So thank you. Have a good day.